The signal arrived on a Tuesday. Dr. Kim sat at her monitoring station outside Seoul, sipping cold coffee as data streamed across her screens. At first, she thought it was an error, a pattern too regular, too perfect to be natural. She ran the analysis again. "This can't be right," she whispered, fingers flying across her keyboard. After the third confirmation, she called Director Park. Within hours, the small monitoring station transformed into the center of Earth's most important discovery. "It's definitely artificial," Dr. Kim explained as government officials filled the room, "and definitely not from Earth." The signal contained mathematical sequences followed by what appeared to be language primers. Teams of linguists and mathematicians worked for 3 days straight until they decoded the basic message, a greeting from something calling itself the Galactic Conclave. "We are not alone," Director Park announced at the Emergency United Nations meeting, "and they've invited us to join them." The message explained that humanity was the newest discovered sentient species in a community of civilizations spanning the galaxy. The conclave provided coordinates for a meeting point 12 light-years from Earth and requested an official delegation. News spread worldwide, causing both celebration and panic. Religious leaders sought meaning in ancient texts. Military commanders requested emergency funding. Stock markets fluctuated wildly. "What do we do?" asked the UN Secretary General. The debate lasted months. Some nations wanted to send a fleet of ships, others nothing at all. The United States proposed sending 3 large vessels. China suggested 5. Russia wanted military escorts. Director Park spoke quietly at the final meeting. "We don't know what we're walking into. Caution is our best approach." His proposal surprised everyone. 1 ship. Not a battleship or colony vessel, just a single diplomatic craft with a diverse crew representing Earth. The ship was named Emissary. While modest by even human standards, engineers equipped it with the best technology Earth could offer. Construction finished in record time as the world united behind the mission. Captain Lee watched the crew selection with care. Each person needed multiple skills and stable psychology. They would carry humanity's first impression to the stars. "We won't have second chances," he told the final 120 chosen crew members. "You represent not just your countries, but our entire species." The crew included scientists like Dr. Yu, who specialized in xenobiology, Diplomat Choi with her gift for communication, Security Chief Han, calm under any pressure, and dozens more from every continent. Unknown to humans, an alien observation probe recorded the emissary's construction and preparations. The data puzzled the waiting conclave representatives. "They're building only 1 vessel," noted Delegate Tesk of the Luriani species, "a small one at that." "Perhaps they lack resources," suggested another alien observer. "Impossible. Our scans show they have materials for hundreds of ships." "How peculiar. All other species sent massive fleets at first contact." On launch day, billions watched as the emissary rose from Earth. Captain Lee stood on the bridge, face calm despite the weight on his shoulders. "Final system check," he ordered. "All systems green," responded Navigator Min. The ship accelerated, leaving Earth behind. The journey took months using the experimental drive designed from theoretical physics. The crew trained, studied conclave information packets, and prepared for first contact. They practiced encounter scenarios and diplomatic responses. When they finally reached the coordinates, 17 different alien vessels waited, each one massive compared to the emissary. The human ship looked like a tiny fish approaching a pod of whales. "Open communications," ordered Captain Lee. The main screen flickered to life, showing a being unlike anything humans had imagined. Tall with 6 limbs and skin that shifted colors like oil on water. "Welcome, humans," the alien said through the translation system. "I am First Herald of the Conclave. We expected your arrival months ago." "We came as quickly as our technology allowed," Captain Lee replied. The alien's skin rippled blue-green. "We see only 1 vessel. Where's the rest of your delegation? Where are your colony ships?" The emissary joined the Conclave fleet as they prepared to travel to the galactic capital. Captain Lee stood on the observation deck, watching alien vessels maneuver around his ship. Each one dwarfed the human craft by at least 20 times. "It's humbling," said Science Officer June, joining him at the window. "And concerning," Captain Lee replied. "Their technology is centuries beyond ours." The Conclave ships moved with impossible grace, their hulls shimmering with energy fields the humans couldn't explain. Some appeared biological, others purely mechanical, and a few seemed to exist partially in another dimension. The first herald had assigned the vessel Bright Horizon as the human's guide. Its captain, a being named Malk, invited a human delegation aboard before departure. Captain Lee selected his team carefully: Diplomat Choi for communication, Security Chief Han for protection, and Dr. Yu for scientific observation. They boarded the alien ship through a docking tube that adjusted its atmosphere as they passed through. "Welcome aboard Bright Horizon," Malk greeted them. The alien stood twice as tall as a human, with 4 arms and skin that changed color to match their surroundings. "We rarely host single-ship species. This is an unusual honor." The humans followed Malk through corridors that seemed to breathe. Other aliens stopped to stare at them, some with multiple eyes, others with none visible at all. Captain Lee maintained a diplomatic smile despite his discomfort. "These are our living quarters," said Malk, showing them vast chambers where different species mingled. "We have prepared a section for humans based on our scans of your vessel." "Thank you for your hospitality," replied Diplomat Choi. "May I ask how many species belong to the Conclave?" "Currently 317 full members, with 42 provisional species like yourselves," Malk answered. "Though humans are unusual even among newcomers." "How so?" asked Captain Lee. Malk's skin rippled blue. "As I mentioned, the single ship. Most species send thousands upon first contact." The tour continued to the ship's command center, where Captain Lee noticed multiple aliens monitoring the emissary on their screens. "Standard procedure," Malk explained quickly. "For navigation purposes." Chief Han didn't believe this explanation, but kept silent. Back on the emissary, the human crew prepared for the journey to the galactic capital. According to Malk, it would take 6 months, even with the Conclave's advanced drives. "They're studying us," Chief Han reported during the private command meeting. "I counted at least 12 different monitoring devices focused on our ship." "I noticed the same," said Dr. Yu. "They seem particularly interested in our behavior patterns." "Captain," Lee considered this information. "Keep alert but not paranoid. We're a new species to them. Curiosity is natural." 2 weeks into the journey, the fleet entered a region of space filled with swirling colors unlike anything in Earth's solar system. "The luminous passage," explained their Conclave guide over the communication channel. "The radiation is harmless, but creates quite a display." The crew gathered at viewports to watch. For many, it was their first moment of pure wonder since leaving Earth. Even the most serious officers smiled at the cosmic light show. Later that night, as most of the crew slept, Navigator Min noticed something strange. "Captain, 3 Conclave. Ships have changed formation. They're surrounding us in a triangular pattern." Captain Lee observed the tactical display. "Contact Bright Horizon. Ask if there's a problem." "The formation is for your protection," came Malk's immediate response. "This region sometimes contains spatial anomalies." Captain Lee nodded, but later shared his doubts with his senior officers. They responded too quickly. The explanation was prepared. The journey continued with daily diplomatic meetings. The humans learned about Conclave history and shared information about Earth in return. However, certain topics always steered the conversation back to human psychology. "You mean your people didn't immediately want to settle new worlds when you discovered us?" asked a tentacled scientist during a cultural exchange. "Most humans prefer caution when facing the unknown," explained Cultural Officer Sung. "We explore first, then settle slowly." The alien scientists exchanged meaningful glances. A month into the journey, Dr. Yu made a discovery while reviewing Conclave biological data. She requested an urgent meeting with Captain Lee. Captain, I've been comparing psychological profiles of conclave species, she explained, displaying her findings. Every species except humans shows strong herd responses to new territorial opportunities. It appears to be instinctive for them to migrate when new habitable areas are found. So our caution seems bizarre to them, Captain Lee concluded. More than bizarre, it's unprecedented. That's why they're studying us so intensely. Captain Lee looked out his viewport at the massive alien ships surrounding the emissary. We're a puzzle to them, and I'm not sure if that puts us in danger or makes us valuable. That night, as the fleet traveled through the darkness between stars, Captain Lee recorded a personal log. We came seeking new friends among the stars. Instead, we've discovered we may be fundamentally different from every other intelligent species in the galaxy. The question is, what will that mean for humanity's future? Cultural Officer Sung couldn't sleep. For 3 nights straight, she had been studying the conclave historical archives they'd been granted access to. Something about the records bothered her, something she couldn't quite place. She rubbed her tired eyes and requested another cup of tea from the food synthesizer. Computer, show me first contact protocols for the last 5 species admitted to. The conclave, she said. The screen displayed 5 different alien races and their initial encounters with the conclave. As she reviewed each case, a pattern emerged that made her sit up straight. Captain Lee, I need to speak with you immediately, she called over the communication system. 20 minutes later, the senior officers gathered in the conference room. Cultural Officer Sung stood at the display screen, her discovery projected for all to see. Every species responded the same way to first contact, she explained, pointing to the data. When the conclave reached out to them, they all sent massive colony fleets, not 1, not 2, but thousands of ships. That can't be right, said Navigator Min. No species would commit so many resources before knowing if it was safe. The evidence suggests otherwise, Sung replied. The Falari sent 2,346 ships. The Thres sent 1,897. The pattern is consistent across all conclave records. Captain Lee leaned forward. Are you suggesting this response is instinctive for them? Exactly. Sung nodded. I believe every sentient species except humans has an instinctive herd or swarm response to expansion opportunities. When offered new territory, they move to claim it immediately. The room fell silent as the implication sank in. That's why they've been studying us so closely, said Dr. Yu. We're the first species that didn't follow this pattern. Captain Lee made a decision. We need to understand this better. Request a scientific exchange with their xenopsychologists. Let's be open about our interest. 2 days later, the observation lounge had been converted into a meeting space. 6 alien scientists joined Dr. Yu and Cultural Officer Sung. The aliens varied dramatically in appearance. One resembled a jellyfish floating in a containment field. Another was insectoid with compound eyes, while a third looked almost like a small walking tree. We appreciate your interest in comparative psychology, said the jellyfish-like being through its translator. What specific aspects would you like to discuss? Dr. Yu decided honesty was the best approach. We've noticed that all conclave species responded to first contact by sending settlement fleets immediately. Humans did not. We're trying to understand this difference. The room grew very still. The aliens exchanged looks that even humans could interpret as surprise. You've noticed that? The tree-like alien's branches quivered. Fascinating. The insectoid leaned forward. Your species truly is unique. When offered new territory, every other sentient race we've encountered responds with immediate migration. It appears to be a universal characteristic of evolved intelligence, until now. You contemplated before acting, added the jellyfish. You sent scouts, not settlers. This behavior is unprecedented. The conversation lasted hours as both sides explored the fundamental difference in psychology. The humans explained concepts like caution, risk assessment, and the historical lessons that had shaped Earth's approach to expansion. Our history includes many instances where rushing to claim new territories led to conflict and suffering, explained Cultural Officer Sung. We learned to explore and understand before committing resources. The jellyfish's tentacles rippled with excited colors. Your evolutionary path must have been quite different from ours. Most species evolved from herd or swarm organisms, where rapid colonization of new resources was essential for survival. As the meeting concluded, Captain Lee authorized an extensive data transmission back to Earth, sharing their discoveries about this fundamental psychological difference between humans and other species. That evening, Captain Lee found Science, Officer June staring out at the fleet of alien ships. "Strange to think we're the odd ones in the galaxy," June said quietly. "I'm beginning to wonder if that's why they contacted us," replied Captain Lee. "They're too interested in our psychology for this to be routine." The next day, the First Herald requested a private meeting with Captain Lee. The alien's skin shifted through patterns of blue and green as they spoke. "Your species continues to surprise us," the Herald admitted. "The Council has been reviewing reports about human psychology with great interest. May I ask why?" Captain Lee kept his voice casual. The Herald's skin briefly flashed a pattern that the translator didn't catch. "Let us say that caution is a rare commodity in our galaxy. Those who possess it may have particular value." As the Herald departed, Captain Lee felt the first stirrings of understanding. The Conclave hadn't invited humanity into their community simply to welcome another species. They were looking for something specific, something that only humans, with their unique psychology, might provide. The Conclave capital appeared first as a distant sparkle against the blackness of space. As the fleet drew closer, the structure revealed itself. A massive ring habitat orbiting a supergiant star, its surface gleaming with cities and artificial landscapes. "It's beautiful," whispered Dr. Yu as the crew gathered at the viewports. "And enormous," added Navigator Min. "The ring must be at least the diameter of Earth's orbit around the Sun." Captain Lee felt a mixture of awe and apprehension. After 6 months traveling with the Conclave fleet, they had finally arrived at the heart of galactic civilization. The emissary looked impossibly small against the backdrop of the massive structure. "Captain, we're receiving docking instructions," reported Communications Officer Bay. "They've assigned us a berth in the diplomatic sector." The ship eased into position among vessels from hundreds of worlds. As they secured the final docking clamps, First Herald appeared on the main screen. "Captain Lee, the High Council requests your presence. This is a rare honor for a provisional species." "How rare?" asked Captain Lee. "In the last 1,000 years, only 3 species have been granted immediate audience." The diplomatic team prepared carefully, selecting representatives from different Earth regions and disciplines. Captain Lee led the 12-person delegation through the docking tube into the capital station. The halls of the Conclave capital dazzled the human visitors. Ceilings soared hundreds of meters overhead. Beings of every imaginable form moved through spaces designed to accommodate all biological needs. Some floated in liquid-filled tubes, others walked on ceilings, and a few appeared to phase in and out of reality. Their guide, a slender, blue-skinned being named Tav, led them to a vast chamber where the High Council waited. 7 figures sat on raised platforms, each representing a major evolutionary branch of sentient life in the galaxy. The center position was occupied by the Council Elder, a being so ancient that its species had evolved significantly since it had taken office. Its body was mostly mechanical now, with only hints of its original biological form. "Humans," the Elder's voice resonated through translation fields. "Your arrival has been anticipated with unusual interest." Captain Lee bowed slightly. "We are honored by your welcome. Tell me, Captain," the Elder continued, "why did your species send only 1 ship to meet us?" The question seemed simple, but Captain Lee sensed its importance. "We believe in understanding before committing. 1 ship allows us to learn and report back without risking too many lives or resources." The Elder's mechanical eyes whirred slightly as they focused. "A cautious approach, and if we had been hostile? Then we would have lost 1 ship, not a fleet." A murmur ran through the council. The Elder's voice dropped to a softer tone. "Throughout our history, every species we've contacted has responded the same way, by sending massive migration fleets. Some arrived before they even knew if we were friendly. Diplomat Choi stepped forward. That would be considered reckless by human standards. Exactly. The elder rose from its seat. Humans, what you don't yet understand is that the Conclave has been testing your species from the beginning. The humans exchanged concerned glances. Testing us? Captain Lee asked. Previous species rushed to expand without caution, explained the elder. Many caused ecological disasters when they encountered new environments. Some triggered wars by misunderstanding territorial boundaries. A few. The elder paused. A few destroyed themselves entirely through unchecked growth and resource consumption. The council chamber fell silent. Your single ship spoke volumes about your species, continued the elder. It told us that humans consider consequences before acting. This quality is exceedingly rare among sentient life. The elder moved closer, its ancient form towering over the human delegation. For millennia, we have searched for a species with both technological capability and restraint. Most achieve one or the other, never both. Captain Lee felt the weight of the elder's words. Are you saying our caution is what interested you in humanity? Precisely. The elder's mechanical face couldn't smile, but warmth filled its voice. The Conclave offers humanity a special position among our community as mediators and advisors. Your psychological makeup gives you perspective that other species lack. The offer stunned the human delegation. They had come hoping merely to establish peaceful relations, not to be offered a privileged role in galactic society. This is unexpected, Captain Lee managed. Take time to consider, said the elder. Communicate with your leaders. We have waited thousands of years for a species like yours. We can wait a little longer for your answer. As the humans were escorted back to their ship, Science Officer June turned to Captain Lee. All this time we thought we were the primitive newcomers. Instead, Captain Lee replied quietly, our greatest strength was something we took for granted, our caution. That night, as the emissary transmitted the Council's offer back to Earth, Captain Lee watched the countless lights of the Conclave capital through his viewport. Humanity had found its place among the stars, not through superior technology or numbers, but through a quality they never knew was special. The wisdom to look before leaping. 3 years had passed since the emissary first left Earth. Now, Captain, Lee prepared to return home. The ship had been refitted with Conclave technology, allowing for faster travel. But more importantly, Captain Lee carried Earth's formal response to the High Council's offer. The emissary's crew had changed too. Some members had stayed behind at the Conclave capital to study alien sciences. Others had been replaced by specialists better suited for diplomatic missions. But the core team remained, bonded by their shared experiences as humanity's first ambassadors to the stars. On their final day at the capital, Captain Lee stood before the High Council once more. The chamber was filled with representatives from dozens of species, all curious about humanity's decision. Honored Council, Captain Lee began, his voice steady. I bring the answer from Earth. The elder inclined its ancient mechanical head. We await your words, Captain. Captain Lee took a deep breath. Before I deliver our formal response, I want to explain something about humanity. The council chamber grew quiet. Our history contains both triumphs and tragedies. We've seen war, exploitation, colonialism, and environmental damage. We've fought over resources and ideologies. We've expanded without thinking and suffered the consequences. Images appeared on the screens around the chamber, Earth's history displayed for all to see. Captain Lee had selected them carefully. Ancient empires conquering foreign lands, forests burning to clear land, species driven to extinction, wars that scarred continents. These experiences taught us caution. They taught us that expansion without consideration brings more harm than good. We sent one ship because we needed to understand before acting. The elder's mechanical eyes focused on the human captain. And, now you understand? We do. Captain Lee nodded. Earth accepts the role of mediator species within the Conclave. A ripple of reaction moved through the chamber, colors changing, appendages moving, sounds both audible and beyond human hearing. However, Captain Lee continued, we propose modifications to the arrangement. Instead of mass migration, we suggest an exchange program. Small groups of humans will work with conclave species while representatives from your civilizations visit Earth. We wish to integrate carefully into galactic society. The Elder considered this proposal. Your species continues to demonstrate the very quality that makes you valuable to us. We accept these terms. After the formal ceremony, Captain Lee met with the Elder privately in a small garden designed to mimic Earth environments. There's something I've wondered, Captain Lee admitted. Why did you contact us at all? If other species cause such problems, why take the risk with humanity? The Elder's mechanical body settled onto a bench beside a small pond. The conclave faces challenges that require new perspectives. Restraint is not our natural inclination, as you've observed, yet the future of this galaxy may depend on it. What challenges? Asked Captain Lee. Resources growing scarce in certain regions, climate shifts on thousand-year cycles, potential threats from beyond our known space. The Elder's voice softened. We need species who ask questions before acting, species who consider consequences. The Elder reached into a compartment in its body and removed a small object. This is for Earth. Captain Lee accepted the gift, a crystal sphere containing what appeared to be a miniature galaxy. What is it? A memory. The first world that destroyed itself through unchecked expansion. Its sun went nova 3 million years ago. We keep this as a reminder. 2 days later, the emissary departed the conclave capital. Alongside the human crew were 12 alien representatives, the first to visit Earth officially. They would help establish the exchange program and serve as advisors during humanity's integration into galactic politics. As the ship accelerated away from the massive ring habitat, Navigator Min plotted the course home. It will still take months to reach Earth, even with the improved drives, she reported. That's fine, replied Captain Lee. We have much to prepare before we arrive. In his private quarters, Captain Lee recorded his final log entry from conclave space. When we left Earth, we thought our mission was simply to make contact with alien life. We never imagined we would discover that humanity's greatest strength is not our technology or our intellect, but something much simpler, our ability to pause and think before we act. On the day of their departure, a small monument was unveiled at the conclave headquarters. The ceremony was brief, attended only by the High Council and a few observers. The monument, crafted from materials from Earth and 17 other worlds, bore a simple inscription translated into every language of the conclave. To the species that taught the galaxy patience, humanity, who asked questions before claiming answers. As the emissary vanished into the darkness between stars, carrying Earth's children and their new alien friends homeward, the Elder looked out at the endless points of light that represented worlds under conclave protection. For the first time in a millennium, it whispered to itself, I feel hope for our future. The bridge crew exchanged glances. This is humanity's delegation, Captain Lee explained. We came to learn about the conclave before making larger commitments. The aliens' colors shifted rapidly. Most unusual, all other species immediately sent settlers upon first contact. We prepared habitable worlds for your people. Captain Lee stood straighter. Humanity appreciates the gesture, but we prefer to understand our new neighbors before relocating our citizens. Fascinating, the alien responded. The conclave invites you to continue to our capital. Perhaps humans are more interesting than we anticipated. As the communication ended, Science Officer June turned to Captain Lee. They expected us to just pack up and move, without knowing anything about them? It seems so, Captain Lee replied, watching the enormous alien ships through the view screen. And I believe our response has surprised them greatly. A new chapter in human history had begun, and already humanity was not what the galaxy expected.